Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J. Maher with another episode of Referrals Podcast. But you know what? This isn't just another episode of Referrals Podcast. Happy New Year! This is number one for 2020. Welcome to the new millennium. This is the new, this isn't just a new month. This isn't just a new year. This is a new decade. How cool is that? And so welcome to the new millennium. Welcome to the new year. Welcome to the new you, hopefully. And I will tell you that first and foremost, I need to hear from you, the listener, you, the viewer. You are listening to Referrals Podcast. You are watching it with record numbers. We are now in the top 10 in the world in the marketing category of all podcasts. And you did it, listeners, viewers. You made this happen. Thank you so much. But here's the thing. We want to hear your story. We want to profile you on Referrals Podcast. Tell us a strategy that you put into play, you implemented, not perfectly. We know it didn't go perfect. And then tell us about what happened, what the results were, and then what you're going to do next. We are into implementers. We love implementers. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Implementation is priceless. And that's what makes today's episode so special is we get to profile a Referrals Podcast listener and someone who has tripled their business in 1 year. They are the number one individual agent in their office in 1 year. And guess what? He is making full-time income, but just working in the business part-time. He is literally living the life of your dreams, not just his dreams. He's living the life of your dreams. We all want to work less and make more. And so I will tell you that I have a very special guest on. I'm not going to let him on yet. I'm not going to bring him on yet. Oh, yes, I am. Troy Rea from Scottsdale, Arizona. Welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
I'll tell you, I love your story, man. I cannot wait to drop these pearls of wisdom on our listeners today. What a great way to start the new year is with a new person's perspective on kind of what has happened in their business. And I so appreciate you being on today, and I can't wait for people to hear your story. But I have to give a shout out to some of our listeners and viewers. I got this really cool gift from our listeners and viewers. Mandy Thacker is the one who sent me this. That is the logo for the Army of Ambassadors. It is a cup that you can drink out of, but it has been handcrafted. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the barrel of a bat. And Mandy knows I love baseball. She knows I love water. She knows I love the logo. It's like, this is a cool gift. Shout out to listener and Referco staff member, Mandy Thacker. Thank you so much, Mandy Thacker. And I will tell you, those of you that have stories you want to tell, please email us at podcast@referco.com. That's podcast @referco.com. Let us know you want to be profiled. We just had 2 new people that did this the other day. We want to profile you on here. And that's the beauty of Referrals Podcast. So, Troy, and do you go by Rea or Ree? How do you?
Ray. It's Ray.
Yeah, it's Ray, right? R-E-A, but
yeah.
But it could be R-E-E. No, it could be R-A-Y.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, so it's Ray.
But it's not.
Is it Ree or Ray?
Ray.
It's Ray.
Ray of hope. Ray of sunshine.
Oh, there we go. That's what a ray of light. So, and the light just turned off in front of you. So, yeah. So we
Story
need to
of my life.
Yeah, there we go. That's perfect. So Troy Rea of Light, Troy Rea, R-E-A is how. And Troy, what's your email address for people to reach out to you?
It's troy@troytherealestateguy.com.
And it really is troytherealestateguy.com.
It is really.
That's beautiful. I love that. So let's start in the beginning. I mean, we to really understand how you tripled your business in 1 year and how you become the #1 individual agent in a big office, and how to get full-time income by working part-time. Tell us when you got into being a real estate agent. When did you get licensed?
2015, I was licensed.
Yeah. So how many transactions in 2015?
Altogether?
Yeah.
Zero.
If you can add them all up.
Add them all up.
So
divide by 2.
There you go. Even divide by 100. We can divide by anything. It's awesome. So 0. So then 2016, how'd you do?
Well, I knocked it out of the park. I got 1 that year.
Yeah. How do you even calculate that? Like the percentage is so hard to calculate because of the 0 the year before. So right. you didn't double your business. You infinite percentage your business the next year by going to 1. And then what did you do in 2017?
Well, 2017, I had such a good year. In 2016, I did that all over again.
You repeated it. That's all. So 1, was it your mom and then it was your dad and the next year, or how'd you get that? I mean, we got to know, how'd you get your first transaction?
My mother-in-law.
Yeah. Boom. So it was somebody you knew. I love that. And then how about your
my wife referred him.
So 2017, who referred, or how'd you get that deal?
That my wife referred her mom to me.
Oh, okay. So was that the first transaction or second transaction?
Second transaction.
All right. What was the first transaction?
The first transaction was kind of funny. It was my best friend in Utah. I was in Utah, and his wife's sister was living at their grandma's house. So
you helped them.
I helped him.
I love it. And so sphere of influence, circle of influence is a lot of times where we get our first transactions anyway. So, and then 2018, you did much better, right? Still working full time doing what you're doing, but you're doing real estate part time. Yeah. And so how'd you do in last year or 2018?
I did 6 deals that year.
Yeah. So you did 6 times the business. And source those for us, like in general, where they come from.
In general, they were basic referrals. Family. My brother bought a house.
Yeah.
His wife's sister bought a house. So it was just kind of referral, and I didn't really put that together till later.
Yeah.
When I heard you speak, actually.
Okay. So tell me about that a little bit. So what do you mean by that? You didn't put it together that you were actually working by referral, or what?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought I was an awesome marketer because I had a website. I was doing all of that stuff they told me to do to be successful.
Yeah, that personal branding mastery. Is that what you're doing? Like personal branding, right? Great business cards, great website, look like a superstar, and none of it really matters.
Yeah, none of it matters.
Yeah.
None of it. There's 0.
What does matter, in your opinion?
Relationship.
Yeah, okay. Good answer. So we'll talk about that. So 6, but everybody's like, well, 6 transactions. Okay, I get it. What'd you do in 2019?
2019, I was invited to come listen to some guy that wrote a book talk. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, those are a dime a dozen.
Well, I'm kind of a sucker because I thought, well, geez, if he wrote a book, maybe I could get a copy for free. And no, didn't. No. But then I thought, well, maybe he would sign it. He did.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty cool. But what happened just before that is I retired from my full-time job. That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
But really what happened is they sold our business and then fired us.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And that was in November.
Of 2018.
It was in, 2018.
Okay. So in 2019, how many transactions did you do? After 6 and
19.
So you tripled your business.
I did.
And no joke triple, right? 6 to 19 is a really big jump, especially when you're trying to work 2 to 4 hours a day versus, some people work 8 to 12 hours and don't do that many transactions. And this is not this is Phoenix, Scottsdale area. So, this is, a lot of competition. Basically, you can't throw a rock in the Phoenix Scottsdale area without hitting a realtor, or at least that's what I told the judge. But that's another story for another day. But so when did you tap into like the generosity generation?
So what happens is, so I went to that talk and you came into the brokerage and talked for about 30 or 40 minutes.
When was that? Do you remember?
It had to be in, I think March was the event.
Yeah.
So I think it was February, early February.
Okay. And do you remember the presentation? Was it Great Retrace, or was it what do you remember what I spoke about?
Well, I just remember you kind of telling the story about the book, and it wasn't really, I don't think it was the Great Retrace.
Yeah.
But it was about the book, I think.
Yeah.
And I had a coach then, so I was on track to be pretty successful because I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
And I learned that what you should do is take whatever your weakness is, and that was cold calling. So I hired a cold calling coach.
Okay.
Paid him for a year. Okay. I made 0 cold calls.
Wow.
Because he just basically taught you verbal judo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, great guy, but that's just not, I couldn't see doing that.
So you obviously didn't get any transactions from the cold calling because you didn't do any of those, right?
Because I did 0.
Okay. So February of 2019, about a year ago, not even a year ago, you went to the program, you heard, what kind of stood out the most for you from that's only like an hour or 90 minutes. So what kind of stood out for you?
So what stood out was when you were talking and you said something about most people can build their business by referral. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's not true. Yeah. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, well, that transaction was a referral. This transaction was a referral. And all of a sudden I did the retrace before I even knew what it was really.
That's right.
In my head. And I was
Were
like,
you
wow.
100% referral at that point?
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody I knew had been referred to me. It was none of my marketing efforts did anything.
Yeah. So then you went to Gen Arizona Arizona in March.
I wrote a check that day.
Yeah.
And I had no money really. Yeah. I felt just like the story in the book, right? Yeah. And I said, I'm going. So I wrote the check, came home and told my wife. She's like, you did what? Yeah, I wrote a check.
Yeah. Yeah. Big check too. Thank you for that. And so you were invested, right? And so you went to Gen Arizona, and at Gen Arizona, we're talking a full day event. So what was kind of the biggest aha or two that you got out of the generosity generation event?
Well, I have a really good memory.
Yeah.
And so the thing that stuck with me after all of that was housewarming parties.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, okay. I don't know how to do an event. That seems scary. Mm-hmm. All of that. And I said, well, I can do housewarmings. I don't know if I can do everything else, but I'll do a housewarming.
Love it.
And I had a transaction from December, and I said, I'm going to go do that. So I called them up and said, hey, as your closing gift, I'm going to do a housewarming party for you. They're like, okay.
Didn't have to sell that very hard.
No. And so we invited 25 people.
Yeah.
And 12, I think, showed up.
Okay.
So, we invited 25. I had food for 40.
Of course. Yeah. Good for you. At least you didn't have food for 5. You had enough food for everybody.
We had food for 5. Yeah, we had food. And I had called my lender and said, hey, I'm doing a housewarming party. And he laughed and said, isn't that what girls do? Wow. And I just met with him today, and I'll tell you something about that.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. I said, so I need some money.
Yeah.
I remember him telling him, get your sponsors to help you. And I just said, hey, I need some money for my housewarming party.
Yeah.
And so he kicked in, $200.
Yeah.
And a gift. And the food was $300. And I hand wrote all the invitations, printed them on my computer. They looked terrible at best. And I didn't do power notes because I hadn't gotten that far, but I hand wrote them. and 12 show up.
Okay.
So out of that 12,
pretty good percentage, 50% showed up, right?
Yeah, out of that 12, 3 of them ended up being buy-sells. So I listed their house and sold their house. And one of those 3 wasn't even at the party. From the note I wrote,
just the invitation.
He called me and said, "Hey, this is Steve." And I'm like, "Hey, Steve, what's up?" He's like, "Can you sell my house?" "I'd love to." I had to look up because I couldn't remember him from the party.
Yeah, who it was? You were basically like, "Hey, Steve, what's up?" You acted like his best friend, and you'd actually have no clue who he is, right?
Yeah. And so it took me a while to clue into that. And then the 7th one got referred to me from the party.
Okay. From the owners, or was it from somebody who just attended the party?
Somebody who had just attended the party.
Okay. So 7 pieces of business from 12 people, and really 25 invitations. And let's talk about the party. So was the homeowner happy with the party?
Yes. And
with 12 people, I mean, like, not a ton of people showed up, and yet they were still really happy.
They were ecstatic. And, the second thing I remembered is you said, don't stay too long. It's not your party.
Yeah. Leave early. Mm-hmm.
And usually I want to be, the jokester and all of that, but you also said serve. Mm-hmm. And so I remembered that, and I'm like, okay. So I tell my wife, who's way more nervous than I am, she's like, "Well, what do I do?" "We're just going to pick up trash, make sure people eat. That's all we're going to do." So we picked up.
It was you and your wife. So your wife helped you do it?
My wife.
Did she run the registration table?
She did a little bit, and she felt kind of awkward about it.
Okay.
Because she felt like she was making them sign up. And I told her later, you don't have to. They don't want to. They don't have to.
That's right. Yep. Well, only if they want to win the door prize, right? So,
right.
But yeah, there's no fill in the blanks necessary. So, all right. And the lender, was the lender there? Did the lender attend?
Lender didn't show up.
Oh, man. All right. So they didn't get to really see firsthand what happened with their investment. I know we're doing this live, and we have not rehearsed any of this.
No.
But did the lender get to help any of the people who bought by any chance?
Yeah, so I just met with him today. That's why I was a little late.
Yeah. So we're talking a year later, I'm sorry, 6 to 8 months later. So, yeah.
And so we're just met with him. I was his #1 referral source for 2019.
Working by referral is not some fairy tale world. It's real. I've seen it. And you can too. Invest in yourself by learning how to run your business by referral at Michael's upcoming live event. It will be a day filled with hands-on, how-to, low to no-cost strategies that you can implement in your business right away. Learn how to run a business by referral that not only feeds your family, but feeds your soul. Go to www.gengenevents.com today. That's www.gengenevents.com.
So
yeah. So pretty good investment of $200 for this guy.
Well, right? He told me today, he says, "How much money do you need for next year?"
Yeah.
I said, "I need 4 events and every housewarming party."
Yeah.
He says, "I'll write a check for it all."
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So,
and the cool thing is, even if he doesn't get any business from it, he's going to get a lot of goodwill. And even if it's not about referrals, it's still about the spreading the word in a goodwill environment. So you did your first housewarming party, and it went really well. You had 7 pieces of business that came from it, and then you acted as a server. You acted as a host. You made sure they had plenty of food, made sure the trash went out. You didn't brag about yourself at all, right?
No.
And did you do the door prizes?
I did do door prizes.
Yeah. How many did you have?
I had, oddly enough, I thought there was going to be, 25 or so there, right? So I had about 15 door prizes.
Wow. That's awesome.
So everybody won something.
Everybody wins. Everybody's a winner. There isn't a better, that's the best door prize system ever.
So and that worked out pretty well. And I had a couple people say, hey, what about this? What about that? I said, today's a party day. I don't really want to talk about real estate.
Ooh, very good.
I would love to help you later, but let's just enjoy the day.
Brilliant.
Jonathan. And then,
so what was their reaction to that? So, I mean, this is something we teach in all of our private stuff, is this almost like be mysterious about what you do. Almost like, and what happens when you're mysterious is people like lean in and want to learn more, versus when you brag, they lean back because their hair's on fire and their hair is being blown back by your braggadocio. So you were exactly how you should be, which is, you know what, this is their party. This is about them today. Let me just follow up after the party and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. And that's what I did.
Yeah. And the reaction, what were their reactions when you did that?
They were totally impressed. So, and I'll just throw all my dirty laundry out is.
Yeah, let's see it.
I don't even have a listing presentation to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, so they called and said, hey, do you want to list my house? And I would go over and I'd say, sure, I mean, am I the guy you want to list it? They're like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. You're the realestateguy.com.
And so I should have a listing presentation. I don't have one. I just talk to them like I'm talking to you.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. When you have a listing presentation, you're not listening, right? It's better to have a listening presentation than it does to have a listing presentation. And your presentation was a listening presentation. You asked questions. You took it in. You helped them stage their home and prepare it, and then it sold. Yeah, all of them sold. Yeah. 3 for 3. You sold them. How quickly did you sell them?
All of them sold within about 20 days or less, all over asking price.
Okay, so there you go. You priced it right. You got them sold within 30 days, not 3 minutes, which tells you maybe you were too far underpriced. But the thing is you did a great job. Now here, I don't know any of this, right? That's the beauty. Sherry literally gave me nothing because she knew I'm so dang curious, and I'm going to ask all sorts of questions. So the 3 that you sold and they bought new homes, did you happen to do housewarming parties for any of them?
So truth is I only did 2 housewarming parties last year.
Mm-hmm. Was it one of those 3?
No. Okay.
So and maybe they all moved out of town. Did they all move out of town?
No, they were close enough to do it, but
okay.
It just, what happened was you got busy and it falls through the cracks, and it's just me.
Yeah. I love the honesty. That's how it works. This is real. I mean, this is a ray of fresh air.
And so, do I feel bad about missing those housewarming parties? Yeah. But,
Why? Why do you feel badly?
Well, because, I feel like maybe I shortchanged them, right? Like I should have done more for them. They're important to me. Yeah. I care about them.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was opportunity there, right? I mean, and you think about it, is if you would have done housewarming parties for each of the 3, it might have been 21 more pieces of business. But the other part of you is like, it's just freaking me. I couldn't have done another 21 transactions than I did. So I get all that. And that's that number one, and I hope everybody listening to this is, be careful that you don't get so busy that you can't do the things that got you busy. And that's one big thing is what do you need to do to make sure that you can handle more busyness, more business. And so right here, right, if you have the system in place, you're going to be able to do it. And I have to tell you, that is the number one thing that we battle with the 7L system is people are doing, they're like so surprised it works, and then they're like, oh crap, it works. And they get really busy and they quit doing what works. And so then they get less busy. So now it's like, all right, let's build the infrastructure or take the systems we give you and just work from there. So I love that. So what a great way to get started. You had a client to work with. You did the housewarming party. You got some great business from it. And that kind of explains 7 or 8 pieces of business. And then you had this 21 other pieces of business. Where do you think those came from?
So 3 of them came from, I was a referral agent for Open Door.
Okay.
And they referred me the 3 most miserable deals I had, who took more time, cost, and it was just not a good business decision. So I quit doing that.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. So Open Door is an iBuyer, for those of you that don't know. The iBuyers are very heavy in the Scottsdale and Phoenix area. iBuyer is not something to be afraid of. They're just another lead generator. And if anything, they're actually a great thing, because in the iBuyer markets where our clients are the clients of the 7L system, it's like we invite the iBuyers in when we get a listing to get offers. And then everybody we talk to from then on, we can say, hey, listen, we already have offers. We already have interest in this home. And that usually creates a sense of urgency in everybody else. So we'll bring in OfferPad and Open Door and everybody else. And okay, it's all good. And if they want that super convenient choice that costs them a lot of money, then we can run that route too. We can run that play. So it is what it is. But in this case, they were a lead generator for you. You had bought the opportunity for those leads, and it just turned out that you got them closed, but it was really hard.
Yeah, it was not worth. I spent way more time doing that.
Yeah.
Than I would have been more productive doing something else. That's the bottom line.
So why do you think that was? Why do you think it was just more work, harder, and it took you more time?
I think that you don't have the relationship. That's why.
Yeah.
Because
there's no
they just
trust.
hand them off.
Yeah, there's no trust. And in fact, there might even be more distrust because Open Door is new. So they're like, all right, this is kind of a new thing. I'm not sure about it. So they're a little scared. And then that reflects on you because you're not a representative of Troy Rea Real Estate at that point. You're a representative of Open Door.
Right.
So it's even a little more scary for them, scarier. So great light, by the way. Whatever you did with the lighting is beautiful. So,
I'll try to keep doing that.
3 of them were that way. So that's 10 out of the 29. So what are the other 15 to 19?
So those were people that one person knew me and had a realtor that tried to put together a deal and came to me and said, I'm watching you sell all these deals. Can you help me?
Now, when they say watching you do all those deals, where do you think they had seen those? Was it Facebook?
They had talked to people that know me.
Okay, so it wasn't even any proactive communication on your part or marketing on your part. It was literally word of mouth from people they knew.
No, my marketing, let me show you my marketing just so you know.
There you go. Nice. That's your
all
business card and your marketing.
It's just a little sticker and a business
Is that
card.
all of it?
That's all of it. That's all I do.
That's awesome. How much that cost you a year?
Well, those cost me, I buy 200 of them for $50.
So, number one individual agent in your office, marketing budget of $50 a year. But what everybody forgets is, you also made money with every housewarming party and every event you did. So it's actually, you made money with your 7L budget. Yeah. With your 7L. Yeah. Okay. I like that. Making money part-time. So, all right. So one of them was a buddy, word of mouth. Let's talk about the other 15 to 18.
So the others all were referred to me from either friends or family or somebody that knew me. The neighbor next door, their parents lived a ways away, and they came out one day, and I was out in my sweats and not dressed as nice as I am now, believe it or not. And said they got out of their car, and I said, "Hey, I found the perfect house for you when you're ready to move over here." And they said, "Well, okay." They walked next door, and they walked back over, and they're standing at the end of my driveway. I was just kind of like kidding, right?
Yeah.
And they're standing at the end of the driveway, and I look up, and they said, "Well, we can go anytime." I said, "Let me grab some real shoes, and I'll take you over." And they bought a house that day.
Wow. There you go. Right. So, all right. So then,
but let me say one thing about that. But I had credibility with them because of the relationship I had with their son.
That's right. That's right. So there was trust already
established.
Yeah. So so you're turning these things out, and then after the Generosity Generation event in Arizona, which was March, was there any contact with us? Were you doing anything with the 7L system?
I signed up for Event Mastery.
Yes. Okay.
And never did any of it live.
Okay.
Then I lost my computer link.
No.
It all went. I lost all my email.
Oh no.
Because I'm tech savvy apparently. And then Sherry sent me a link, and I watched one episode is all. And then I signed up for Battle, the Battle Plan.
So for RMS, for Referral Master Summit.
I signed up for that when I was there in March. I think we signed up for that.
Yep.
And then I got through the year, and then I sent an email and said, hey, I want to be an ambassador. I want the premiums, whatever it is. I want to be in the front, whatever that takes.
Yeah. So you did the full Monty for Referral Mastery Summit. You got the front row, you got the dinner, you got the whole 9 yards. Okay. Thank you for doing that. I hope you felt like you got value out of that.
I did. I was sitting with my wife one night in bed, and I just said, this works for me. Mm-hmm. I can do this. Mm-hmm. I'm not good at verbal judo. I mean, I was a used car salesman once. I was a Marine Corps recruiter. So I can say all of those things and twist people's words and make them feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
But it doesn't pay.
Yeah. Well, listen, if your business model is predicated on making people feel awkward, you're going to be a dinosaur very quickly. The age of making people feel awkward is over, and we're now in this age of making people feel awesome. And that's what I hope. I mean, the housewarming party made your homeowners feel awesome. It made the attendees feel awesome. And you know what? It made you feel awesome. And the way you're doing business is making people feel awesome, which means you feel awesome. And it just builds off itself, and it perpetuates. And I love that. I can see it in you. It really is ray of light type of feeling. So I will tell you, the thing that really got this podcast happening, I met you at Referral Mastery Summit. Well, we'd met before, but re-met you and had a chance to chat with you and that kind of thing. Loved your energy, loved where you were coming from. And the thing that I really love about Referral Mastery Summit is people went and saw the CRTs. And there's two things about the CRTs that people, there are three things really that they really love. One is that they were real people. People see them and they go, you know what? They're really not any different than me, or, they're good looking people. They're beautiful people. They're not supermodels. And you're like, well, the reason she did so well is because she looks like $1 million. Of course she's attracting probably good and the bad kind, And it's like, of course they're a superstar. They dress like a night, the thing is their CRTs are real people who do really well, and they're real. So it's like, it's like, man, I can do this because I see them. The second thing that people loved about our CRTs is they share everything. This is a culture of sharing. And it's just like, oh, you want my Vendors We Love program? Here it is. You want my housewarming party checklist? Here it is. You want my event checklist? Here it is. Here, you want my system for the lunch of a lifetime? Here it is. So, and then the third thing that they really, really love about them, besides the fact that they're real people and that they share, is that anybody can be a CRT if they implement. So we had people who had been implementing the 7L system for 12 years, and we have people who had implemented for 6 to 8 months who were speaking with passion and with knowledge because they implemented. And the only way to get on stage is to implement. And that's what I love about your story is it's a story of implementation. It's a story of mistakes and errors and messing up. And yet messing up, you're messing up forward, you're failing forward. And like you said, you tripled your business and you're number one individual agent. You're doing this almost part-time and kicking butt. So, it was great to have you at Referral Mastery Summit and just, you're a future CRT, And I'm very excited about that because, you're real. That's what I hope, like Referrals Podcast, just like sometimes when people like, I see people, they do these interviews all the time and they're like, they have on these super famous authors or speakers or whatever. And I'm always like, do we need to get that super famous author on Referrals Podcast or all these other, and you know what? I'd much rather talk to you because A, I know it's not BS, and B, it's everybody can relate to you. Everybody can relate to, where you're coming from. But you also have the added ingredient that you kind of came from a hardcore closing, overcome every objection, verbal judo background, and you've converted. You've converted to where it's no longer verbal judo, and it's more just like verbal love, generosity, and appreciation. I don't know what the opposite of judo is, but it's partnership, not a fight, maybe. So, Troy, I really appreciate it. I mean, is there, like, what advice would you give to someone who is newer to the 7L system, the generosity generation, what, that kind of thing?
Well, I got a couple things. My first one is don't major in the minors.
What do you mean by that? Yeah.
What I mean is, don't worry about your logo. Don't worry about, the 10,000 things you think are important.
Yeah.
None of that matters.
Yeah.
Just be real, get out there, talk to people, and just try it. Trust. And that'll work.
Yeah.
So I had a call today. This guy calls me says, hey, I want to list my house. I said, okay. He said, I want to interview some agents. I said, okay. He said, you came highly referred. All right. They said, do you know any other good agents that we could talk to?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. I'll give you a couple names.
Yeah.
He's like, you're going to give me names of other real estate agents?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. You need to have the right agent for you.
Boom.
So I don't know how that's going to turn out yet. I talked to him tomorrow at 1.
I can guarantee how it's going to turn out, right? It's going to be a win-win-win, right? The agents are going to be really amazed. The client's going to be really amazed. They're going to go with you, most likely. I mean, unless you just totally screw it up. I'm just kidding. But I think it's one of those, just, what, go from the good. What would you want done if you were them? Just do it, and don't be attached to the outcome. Whatever happens, happens, and it's going to be awesome. I love it. That, my friends, is a great way to start the new year, is to act in the spirit of generosity at all times, because it will be reciprocated. It will come back. So,
well, what I told you when I met you at the last event, the Event Mastery.
Yeah, Referral Mastery Summit was the last one. Referral Mastery Summit in Atlanta. Yeah. And we're coming to Scottsdale, coming to your backyard.
But yeah, they need to come here. Who wouldn't do that? I mean, you get a chance to meet me. That's no extra charge.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And he'll be teaching. And so you were going to say something else. I'm sorry. At the last event, you said to me at Referral Mastery Summit, you had said something.
When I said, I walked up to you and said, hey, it's good to see you. I shook your hand and said, you just tell me what to do. Whatever it is, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
And that's my goal this year, is to be all in.
Yeah. What did I say back to you? Do you remember?
You said you can do it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I probably said one of two things, and maybe both. One is you can do it. And the other thing that I always want to make sure that I say is that I really respect that trust, and I don't take that responsibility lightly, and that if you ever feel like I'm belying that trust, please talk to me first. And
you did say that.
I did. Yeah. And that's the answer. And that's my answer is, A, you can do it unless I don't think they can do it. And then number two is just like, listen, I mean, we have a lot of these people who literally, I come to a presentation and they're like, what are you doing today? I want to sign up now before the rush. And it's just like, you know what, go take care of it. And then I explain it. And then they're like, man, I'm so glad that I signed it. And I always tell them that, hey, listen, if I explain it and it's not something you're interested in, then just go and we'll cross through it and you don't have to do it. I mean, this is not about sales. But what I do know is that when we charge for things, people implement better and faster. You know, when things are free, nothing gets done, you know, and that's what I hope with people who listen and watch the Referrals podcast, is that just because it's free, don't devalue the lessons that we're sharing here today. Take action, implement, make it happen, and you can do it. And Troy, I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate the journey you're on. I really love where you're at. It's just like you're new. This is your year. You know, it's like, imagine where the second year is going to take you. And I've already seen the future of what you're doing. And it's so wonderful and full of light, you know, and just full of people feeling awesome. So, Troy, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they reach out to you for referrals to the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, or to just bend your ear a little bit?
Well, easy enough to call me. My number is 480-432-2355.
Okay.
Or you can email me, and my address is troy@troytherealestateguy.com.
Perfect. Well, what a great way to start the new year, people. I mean, not only that, great way to start a new month, great way to start a new year, great way to start a new millennium. And I will tell you that, listen, I'm going to ask you that you share Referrals Podcast with the people you know. Just referralspodcast.com. People can subscribe through Google, Stitcher, Google Play, or iTunes, or any, and people are walking and listening to this. They're jogging and listening to this. They're watching on YouTube, and you just never know what this gift of Referrals Podcast will do for someone. It's not like you're selling anything. You're giving something that they can listen to for free. And we just ask that, hey, you take a minute and just rate it, review it, and then share it with someone you know, a friend or colleague who might learn something. And they're going to say, well, you know, what is it? Tell me about it. And just say, you know what? It's not something we can explain. It's really something you have to experience. Get them to listen to it, and hopefully they become a regular listener like everybody here. Troy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And listeners, I really appreciate you being in on the first podcast of a new millennium. Thank you for tuning in to Referrals Podcast. We'll see you next time, next week.